The waiting room was a study in sterile opulence. White leather chairs, a glass coffee table topped with magazines featuring impossibly perfect people, and a faint, clinical scent that was part antiseptic, part expensive perfume. It was the kind of place where you were meant to feel important, a space designed to affirm that you were receiving the very best care money could buy. For Maya and Ethan, this was exactly what they wanted. After 5 years of trying, they were finally expecting their first child. And no expense was too great for their little miracle. Maya, her complexion a rich, warm mahogany, sat with a hand resting on her gently rounded stomach. She was a renowned architect, her designs celebrated for their blend of modern minimalism and environmental harmony. Next to her, Ethan, a man whose presence was as calm and solid as an old-growth tree, held her hand. His skin was a shade darker than hers, and his quiet strength was a perfect complement to her vibrant, creative energy. He was a software engineer, a brilliant mind behind a series of groundbreaking applications that had revolutionized the fintech industry. They were a couple who had built their lives on intellect, hard work, and a profound, unwavering love for one another. They had come to this hospital, to the office of Dr. Julian Sterling, because he was considered the best obstetrician in the city. The word-of-mouth recommendations, the glowing reviews, the fact that he was the physician for a roster of celebrities and dignitaries, it all pointed to him being the right choice. The receptionist, a woman with a practiced, detached smile, called their name, Mr. and Mrs. Vance. Ethan squeezed Maya's hand. "Showtime, my love," he whispered. Dr. Sterling's office was even more impressive than the waiting room. Sunlight streamed through a large window, illuminating a collection of framed diplomas and awards. Dr. Sterling himself was a man who looked every bit the part of a prestigious physician. His hair was a distinguished silver, his eyes a piercing blue, and he carried an air of supreme confidence. He greeted them with a cool professional handshake, but his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "Julian Sterling," he said, gesturing to the examination table. "Please, make yourselves comfortable. It's a pleasure to meet you both. Or, at least, to meet you." He gestured toward Ethan with a quick, dismissive flick of his wrist. "My notes say you're a Mr. Ethan Vance. Are you the one paying for the care?" He said the word care as if it were an unpleasant task. Ethan's smile faltered, but he held his composure. "That's right, Doctor, we're a team." Dr. Sterling ignored the statement, his gaze sweeping over Ethan's simple, well-made sweater and jeans, a clear sign to him that this was not a man of great wealth, or at least not one of his usual clientele. He turned his attention to Maya, his expression one of faint condescension. "All right, let's get down to business. How's everything feeling? Any cravings for fried chicken or ... He trailed off, his mouth forming a thin, humorless line. Maya's breath caught in her throat. The casual, racist stereotype hit her like a physical blow. She felt a familiar, hot burn of humiliation rise in her cheeks. She had faced this kind of microaggression her entire life, but to have it happen here, in this sacred space where they were preparing for their child, felt especially cruel. Ethan's body stiffened beside her, but before he could speak, Maya answered, her voice calm and steady, despite the tremor in her heart. "Everything's fine, doctor. I'm just a little concerned about my blood pressure. It's been a little high lately. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about," Dr. Sterling said dismissively, not even glancing at her medical chart. Stress probably. You know how it is, with people like you. Too much on your plate, too many commitments. The unspoken words hung in the air. Too many children, too many jobs, too much trouble. Ethan's voice was low and dangerous. Excuse me, doctor. I don't appreciate the tone. My wife is a successful professional. We both are. Her health is a priority. Dr. Sterling looked at him with an icy stare. I'm the doctor here, young man. I know what's best for my patients. Now, if you'll excuse us, I have other appointments. He pointed to the door, a clear dismissal. The insult was so blunt, so unapologetic, that it took their breath away. They were being kicked out, treated like second-class citizens, simply because of the color of their skin. They had been humiliated, stripped of their dignity in a place where they were supposed to feel safe. Maya's eyes filled with tears, her heart aching with a pain far greater than any physical discomfort. Ethan helped her off the table, his face a mask of quiet fury. He said nothing as he guided her out of the room, through the silent, judgmental waiting area, and into the echoing hallway of the hospital. They stumbled out of the doctor's office, the heavy mahogany door swinging shut behind them with a finality that felt like a verdict. Maya's hand instinctively went to her stomach, her beautiful, round belly suddenly feeling vulnerable and exposed. She leaned against the cold wall of the hallway, a sob catching in her throat. The pristine marble and shining brass of the hospital corridor, once symbols of impeccable care, now seemed to mock her. I can't believe he said that, she whispered, the words trembling with a mixture of disbelief and shame. I can't believe it. Ethan pulled her close, wrapping her in his arms. His embrace was a fortress of quiet strength, shielding her from the callousness of the world. His jaw was clenched, a muscle in his cheek twitching with a cold, controlled fury. It wasn't a loud, explosive anger, but a deep, simmering rage that was all the more terrifying for its stillness. For years, he had been the one to navigate the microaggressions, the subtle slights, the casual racism. He had always been the one to absorb it, to move on, to keep the peace. But this was different. This wasn't just an insult to him. This was an insult to their child, to the new life they were bringing into the world. This was an insult to Maya, the woman he loved more than life itself. He's not getting away with this, Ethan said, his voice a low, gravelly whisper. Maya looked up at him, her eyes wide and tearful. Ethan, please, it's not worth it. Let's just go home. We'll find a new doctor. No, he said, his voice firm. This isn't just about us. This is about principle, about dignity. I will not let a man like that make you feel small. Not today. Not ever. He took out his phone, his fingers moving with a swift, purposeful precision. He scrolled through his contacts, his mind already a few steps ahead of everyone else. He was a man who worked in the digital ether, a phantom of the financial world, whose quiet efficiency and brilliant algorithms had made him one of the most powerful and sought-after figures in his field. Few knew his name, but everyone knew his work. The first number he dialed was a private line, one that very few people possessed. It was the direct line to the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech conglomerate. The phone rang once, then twice, before being answered. Ethan, a voice said, sounding surprised. I thought you were taking the day off. What can I do for you? A very big one. What's the name of the man who sits on the board of directors for the Northwood Memorial Hospital? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. That would be Mr. Harrison Thorne. Why, I need his private number now. Ethan, what's going on? David asked, a note of concern in his voice. I'll tell you later, Ethan said. Just trust me. And I need you to call him and tell him that I am the one calling him. Tell him I'm calling about a personal matter. Tell him it's about the future of his hospital's reputation. He hung up the phone before David could answer, his eyes fixed on the hospital's directory, a small digital screen on the wall. He found the name he was looking for, Mr. Harrison Thorne, chairman of the board. The second number he dialed was an even more private one that only a select few had access to. It was the direct line to a high-ranking official at the Northwood Memorial Hospital itself. This is Ethan Vance, he said, his voice now a cool, menacing calm. I am in your hospital. I am in the main lobby, and I have just been dismissed from an appointment with Dr. Julian Sterling. I need to speak to the hospital administrator immediately, and I need to do it in person. Tell them it's about the future of their hospital's reputation. He hung up, the words a chilling echo in the quiet hallway. He looked at Maya, his gaze soft but determined. It's going to be okay, my love. Just give me 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, the hospital lobby, once a haven of calm, was in a state of controlled chaos. A security guard, his face pale and flustered, was scanning the crowd for Ethan Vance. The receptionist, who had been so dismissive earlier, was now staring at her phone, her eyes wide with fear. A rumor, a chilling whisper, was spreading through the hospital like wildfire. Something big was about to go down. Dr. Julian Sterling, completely unaware of the approaching storm, was in his office, gloating over the incident. He had a smug smile on his face, a satisfied smirk that told the world that he had won. He had put the upstarts in their place, and he had done it without a hint of shame or regret. He had no idea that his world was about to come crashing down around him. A moment later, a man in a crisp suit, his face contorted with a mixture of fear and rage, burst into Dr. Sterling's office. It was Mr. Harrison Thorne, the chairman of the board. He was followed by the hospital administrator, a portly man with a flushed face, who was frantically wiping the sweat from his brow. Julian, Mr. Thorne said, his voice a low growl. What have you done? Dr. Sterling looked at them, his smug smile faltering. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. Don't lie to me, Mr. Thorne said, his voice rising. Ethan Vance is on the phone, and he is very, very angry. He says you disrespected him and his wife. He says you made a racist comment. Is that true? Dr. Sterling's face turned a ghostly white. The blood drained from his face, and his smug facade cracked, revealing the ugly, terrified man beneath. I don't know who you're talking about, he stammered. He's talking about me, a voice said from behind them. They turned, and there he was, Ethan Vance. He was standing in the doorway of the office, his wife Maya by his side. They were a vision of quiet dignity, their presence filling the room with a silent, powerful authority. Ethan didn't shout. He didn't scream. He simply looked at Dr. Sterling, his eyes a cold, unwavering steel. Dr. Sterling, he said, his voice a calm, factual statement of a man in control. 15 minutes ago, you humiliated my wife. You insulted her, You made a racist comment, and you dismissed her concerns about her health. You did it because you believe that because of our skin color, we are somehow less than you. And you did it in a place that is supposed to be a place of healing and care. The hospital administrator looked at Ethan, then at Dr. Sterling, his face a mixture of horror and disbelief. He said that we were. Ethan paused, letting the words hang in the air for a moment. He said that people like us are too much on our plate, too many commitments. He looked at Dr. Sterling, his eyes a cold, unwavering steel. And he did it in front of my wife, who is a brilliant, beautiful, and courageous woman. A woman who is carrying my child. Dr. Sterling was a statue of terror, his mouth agape. He had no words. He had no defense. His world was crumbling around him, and he had no one to blame but himself. Mr. Thorne turned to him, his face contorted with a cold, unforgiving fury. "Julian," he said, his voice a quiet, terrifying growl. "You're fired. Get your things. You will never work in this hospital again. And I will make sure that every hospital in this city knows exactly what you did here today. You have not only disgraced yourself, you have disgraced this entire hospital. Get out." Dr. Sterling, a man who had spent his life in a position of power, was now a pathetic figure, a broken man in an expensive suit. He stumbled out of the office, his head bowed in shame, the once impeccable hallway now seeming to mock him with its sterile perfection. Ethan turned to Mr. Thorne and the hospital administrator. "This isn't just about him," he said, his voice firm. "This is about the entire system. This hospital is a place of healing. It is supposed to be a place of trust. And a man like that has no place in it. I have a new doctor in mind. A woman named Dr. Anya Sharma. She is a woman of color. She is a compassionate, brilliant woman. And I want her to be my wife's new doctor. And I want to make a donation of $10 million to the hospital, to be used to fund a new program that will ensure that no patient ever has to experience this kind of racism again. I want to build a system of accountability, and I want to make sure that people like us are not only treated with respect, but that we are treated with the dignity that we deserve." Mr. Thorne and the hospital administrator were in a state of shock, their faces a mixture of relief and awe. They had expected a lawsuit, a public relations nightmare. Instead, they were offered a gift, a chance to redeem themselves, a chance to make their hospital a better place. They accepted the offer, their voices thick with gratitude and shame. The next day, Maya and Ethan were back in the hospital. But this time, they were not alone. They were accompanied by a new doctor, a brilliant, compassionate woman named Dr. Anya Sharma. She was a woman of color, a woman who understood what they had been through. She greeted them with a warm, genuine smile, her eyes filled with a shared sense of understanding. She spoke to Maya with a quiet professionalism, her voice a soothing balm to her wounded heart. As they sat in Dr. Sharma's office, talking about the health of their child, Maya looked at Ethan. His hand was on her knee, his thumb stroking her skin, a gesture of quiet reassurance. She saw in his eyes a love so deep, so profound, that it was a physical thing. He had not only stood up for her, but he had changed the world around him. He had taken a moment of deep humiliation and turned it into a moment of great change. 3 months later, they welcomed their daughter, a beautiful, healthy baby, with her mother's brilliant eyes and her father's quiet strength. They named her Hope, Hope Vance, a name that was a testament to the future, a name that was a promise, a name that was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. A hope that true power is not in the money you have, but in the love you give. A love that can change everything.